I always like it when interviewers ask me this question because, people, Ghanaians don't know, should I say they don't know our work. Because so it's not as though they call us and we decide not to pick. Sometimes they call and then they're in a queue.
What are the main common causes of, fire outbreaks?
In most cases, the main causes are electrical faults. Yeah, we have what we call spontaneous ignition. So you have something is just lying down and then it starts burning without any external source. So when you have materials like oily rags, three things have to come together for fire to start: oxygen, fuel, and then heat. So what I would want to tell the general public is that they should take our educational campaigns really serious, because as an institution, we take pride in educating more than managing the fires.
Hey there, it's another edition of Chalé GH on IBG Studios. I'm your usual host, Patinko Star Boy. There is a saying that fire is a good servant, but a bad master. You only know this when you encounter a fire situation. Nowadays, we've been hearing of so many incidents of burnings in the markets, in the schools, and even recently the explosion, or if I'll say alleged explosion of the helicopter, which involves burning. We have so many skepticisms or thoughts about it, and it's important that we get the right information from the professionals. To help me in the studio today do this discussion is ADO1 Derrick Adzokpa. Yes, indeed, he is from the headquarters or fire headquarters. He has come to help us, do a thorough discussion on this. You're welcome to the studios, Fire Officer.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. And, for Ghana National Fire Service, we really take delight in educating the public on fire safety, because fire safety is a shared responsibility. So we need all of us to come on board to be able to prevent undesired fires. So it's really it's a pleasure to be here this morning.
All right. Thank you very much for getting time to come and enlighten us and the whole public as to issues pertaining to fire. We really appreciate your coming.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and I'm sure my viewers are intently sitting down to listen to more, because Ghanaians have a whole lot of misconceptions about fire. You watch on the news the issues, the bashing, especially when there are incidents of fire, and how do you call it? The fire service comes late. You can hear all that. Yes,
okay.
And I think there is more to it than meet the eyes. And today, I'm sure you are going to help me and my viewers and audience to have a lot of insight to this. But I mentioned that you're coming from the headquarters. I would like you to tell us a bit about your portfolio, then we take it from there.
Okay, so I'm Assistant Divisional Officer, Grade 1, Derrick Elorm Adzokpa, and I'm a member of the Public Relations Department at the National Headquarters. And I've also been an operational man before. I've fought fires head-on before when I was at the University of Ghana Fire Station. That's where I started from. And then I was transferred to the National Headquarters because I did PR in school, and I have an MA in PR as well. So I was transferred to the National Headquarters to practice PR.
Oh, okay. That's wonderful. So this tells you that we are not dealing with just an ordinary person. We are dealing with a senior officer. So whatever he's going to tell us is actually going to carry a whole lot of weight. So Fire Officer, ADO1. Yes. What is the full meaning of the ADO?
Assistant Divisional Officer, Grade 1.
Wow. That's impressive. All right. So let's start with what are the main common causes of, fire outbreaks in the markets and in the homes and, other areas?
Okay. So, in most cases, the main causes are electrical faults, which stem from maybe faulty wiring, overloading of sockets, weak connections, etc. Then you also have unattended cooking. Mostly people try to do two or more things at the same time. So whilst they are washing, they are cooking. So if there is any issue in the kitchen or there's any fire outbreak in the kitchen, they will not be there to quickly put it out. So unattended cooking is also one of the ways or causes of fires in our homes. And also we have illegal connections. You know, Ghana, and I mean our communities, it's really common in our communities. I remember there was a fire somewhere around Nima, and then our men attended the incident. You know, mostly when it's a big fire like that, we call on ECD, who are stakeholders, to cut out power supply for us to be able to fight the fire safely. So we realized that even after cutting power supply, we're still experiencing shocks, meaning there was still power in the building. So this is as a result of illegal connections. So these things can also cause fires in our homes. And then so we also have improper use of gas cylinders. You know, we always say that we should keep the gas cylinders outside. The reason why we say that is because we don't want it to come closer to any heat source. So when you keep it inside, it's closer to the stove, which, I mean, comes where we have the fire there. So you always keep it upright outside and make sure that it's in a more ventilated space. And it shouldn't even be exposed to the weather, the sun, because the sun is also another source of electricity. So another source of heat. So these are some of the causes of fires in our homes: illegal connection, unattended cooking, electrical faults, and sometimes even poor storage of flammable materials. Sometimes when you don't store them well, they are able to start fires by themselves. There's something we call spontaneous ignition. They don't need any external source, heat source. They will just be there by being close, by being stored in large amounts. They're able to produce excessive heat by themselves. And you know, in fire, or with fire, there are three things that need to come together for fire to start. We have heat, oxygen, and then fuel. You know, oxygen is all over us. Right now, we are here. There's oxygen.
Can you repeat that again? Heat,
oxygen, and fuel.
Okay.
They have to come together in the right proportion for fire to start. So oxygen is already here. And then the fuel is the flammable objects or flammable material. And then the source of heat. So even if there's no source of heat, but because they've been kept in large amounts at a particular place, they're able to produce excessive heat by themselves, which is the spontaneous ignition. So these are some of the things that we see, or the causes we see repeating themselves in our homes, markets, and other places.
Wow. That's interesting. You made mention of the use of the cylinders, that we should actually, keep it far away. Because in some homes, in my neighborhood, I've seen some people, they bring the cylinder outside and they make a sort of, if I say, a frame to safeguard it. Is it that safe?
So you are protecting it from being exposed to the sun directly. And the sun is, like I said, a source of heat. So it is a good thing, keeping it outside and making sure that it's as well. You're not covering it totally, but at least you leave space for ventilation. But at the same time, preventing it from being exposed to the sun. So that in case there's any explosion, it's going to happen outside and not inside. And whilst it's there, it's not closer to flammable objects as well.
Okay.
So, I mean, it makes sense if they do that.
All right. So let's look at electrical faults. How do electrical faults contribute to fire situations?
Okay, so like I said, we have faulty wiring, loose connections, and use of old appliances as well. So when these things happen, it leads to what we call arcing or short circuit. Arcing is basically electricity trying to jump the gap. So when we have loose connections, I mean, there are gaps in between the wiring.
Okay.
So the current tries to jump to the next one, which causes sparks or overheating. So let's say if it's lying on the carpet and there are sparks, it will come into contact with the carpet and then fire will start. And you also have short circuit. That's when electricity flows in an unintended path. So let's say the live wire comes into contact with the neutral. It causes excessive heat, like so much of electricity is produced at that moment, and that can also cause fire. So that is how electricity leads to.
Okay. So how can how do you call it? Flammables, flammable storage of flammables cause fire.
So like I said earlier, we have what we call spontaneous ignition. So you have something is just lying down and then it starts burning without any external source. So when you have materials like oily rags and you pack them in large quantities at a specific place, after some time, they generate so much heat. So when there's heat, there's oxygen, and then the material itself is fuel.
Okay.
So it starts burning by itself. Also, when you keep materials like petrol, paint, gas closer to heat sources, then it would also start fire. So, I mean, you need to know how to keep this flammables safely so that it doesn't cause fire.
Okay. Okay. So it means you should have specific places that you keep these items to prevent it from being,
coming to contact with any heat source, or a place where there's, I mean, a bit of ventilation so that, I mean, it doesn't produce so much heat.
Okay. Then it means those of us who live in single rooms having almost everything there
packed.
We actually, giving room for.
And another thing is that, so if you have so much things packed in your single room, if there's any small fire, it is able to spread quickly because there's so much fuel for the fire to burn more.
Okay.
So if the things are closer to each other, there's something we call I've forgotten it, but it's when, let's see, there's something burning here, and then due to
the proximity or the proximity,
so is it conduction or convection?
Okay.
The heat is able to come here, and then this one will start burning together.
Okay.
Also start burning. So when you have so much things packed at one particular place, the small fire can turn into a disaster, a big fire, because of the items in there.
All right. Now the weather has changed to some extent. It is, if I would say, cool, but we know that Harmattan also causes a lot of this fire. How does the Harmattan cause these fire outbreaks?
Interestingly, during the Harmattan season is when we record a lot of fires, especially bushfires, because mostly during the Harmattan there's less humidity, which means that there's, what do you call it? There's less moisture or no moisture in and around us. So everything is dry, like grass, wood, everything is dry. So any small contact with a spark or any heat source can start burning. So when they start burning, because the atmosphere is dry, the wind, it produces strong winds. So the wind spreads the fire easily. So any small fire can blow it to another place, and then fire would also start there. So mostly in our bushes or in our farms, that's why we advise that after cooking, make sure that you extinguish the fire completely. Okay. Because when you leave it, the strong winds will blow it to other places, which will start firing your vegetation. So during the Harmattan season, the wind plays a major role in spreading the fire. And because of the less humidity, there is no moisture at all. So things are dry and they easily catch fire.
Oh, okay. So are there some specific human habits that, increase the risk of fire in Ghana?
Yes, they are. One, we live in a country where people mostly don't turn off their sockets when they are leaving the house. That's true. So when there are power surges, there's a likelihood that sometimes it wouldn't even cause fire, but it would even damage your appliance, because when the light comes back on, it comes with high voltage,
okay,
which can damage your appliance if it's still plugged in. That is why mostly when it's raining, ECG sometimes put off the lights.
Okay.
It's not because they want to inconvenience us, because they want to protect us, because sometimes when there's it's raining and the winds are strong, it mostly causes, and there are issues with the power lines, causes some power surges. So they do that to protect your items. But in a case where they don't do it, you have to take it upon yourself to put your gadgets off, unplug them before leaving the house or before you sleep. Also, the use of candles and what do you call it? Mosquito coil. Not everyone is privileged to have access to electricity. So some people make use of candles.
Yeah.
And sometimes they forget to turn it out, to put it out before sleeping. I remember when I was at Legon, we attended an incident. It was a kiosk. And the man, he doesn't have electricity. He doesn't have TV. He doesn't have anything. So, electrical faults can be ruled out in that particular situation. But he admitted that he uses a candle and the mosquito coil, but he forgot to,
Put out the
the candle
Okay.
before sleeping. And then I mean, obviously, so probably that might have led to the fire. So that's also one of it. And it's what else? There are a whole lot. There are a whole lot of things we do that easily, like unattended cooking. Like I said, is one of them. The illegal connections is also one of them. So these are some of the things that.
As for the illegal connection, I think it is one huge canker that is eating the country. I think we normally hear of the cases of illegal connection. The ECG always comes out to, complain about that a whole lot. And in the illegal connection, what actually really causes is it that they don't, fix the wirings well, or they do it said that they try to hide it, or honest or unprofessional do it?
I really can't really go into that, but all I can say is that I think it produces excessive heat, which can cause fire. Excessive heat causes fire.
Okay.
I can't really go into that because I will need a professional, an ECG person to explain further. That is why they are our stakeholders and we work hand in hand with them.
Okay. All right. So having known this, what are some of the safety measures that we can put in place to actually, prevent some of these fires, knowing how catastrophic they can be?
Okay, so we can talk about regular electrical checks. So, ideally, between 5 to 10 years, you should change your wiring system.
Wow.
But then we have buildings in Ghana that are 30 years old, 20 years old, and the wiring hasn't been changed or even checked to see whether there are some loose connections or some are 40. Okay. And the wiring are still the same since the building was put up 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So you need to check this electrical system, check your wiring frequently, and make sure that you request the services of a qualified person from ECG. If you get somebody who is, nearby, when there's an issue, who would be held responsible? But if it's from the ECG, who can be held responsible. So you need to get a qualified electrician to do your regular checks for you. So you need to keep a functional fire extinguisher in your house or your office, wherever you are. Just make sure that you have the fire extinguisher because it's used to extinguish fire at its initial stage. When the fire is small, that's when you use the extinguisher, and it can make a lot of difference. The fire extinguisher can make a lot of difference. It has saved people from losing their properties and protecting themselves from, the ruins of fire. So it's very important to also have your fire extinguisher with you, and also make sure that you call the Ghana National Fire Service immediately you see fire. Sometimes every second counts. The fire will not wait for you to call the Ghana National Fire. So immediately you see it. If you are able to douse it by yourself with the extinguisher when it's small, fine. But after even doing that, call the Ghana National Fire Service. But if you can't do that, if you feel like you panic, just immediately call the Ghana National Fire Service because your calls are really, really important. The time you call is really important for us to get to the scene early and then extinguish the fire.
Okay. You're talking of calling the fire service. In recent times, we've actually heard a whole lot on this TV, social media, that when we call the fire service, it takes a long time for them to get to the scene. And even sometimes they get to the scene only for you to know that they don't have enough, water to, quench the fire or fight the fire.
I always like it when interviewers ask me this question because people, Ghanaians, don't know. Should I say they don't know our work? But we try as much as possible to educate them on our modus operandi through our education and other things. So I'm really excited when I'm asked this question. So for the first one was the call. So our emergency numbers are 112, 192. That's the toll-free ones. And that's the same number because it's toll-free. People like playing with it. That's when we record a lot of prank calls. Like, we record so many prank calls in a day. One day, I think maybe we should move the set from here to where we receive our calls. And then within 2 minutes, you can see the number of prank calls we've received. So it's like having your phone. If there's someone on the phone, another person cannot get through. Okay. So you might see about 50 people in a queue wanting to read the Ghana National Fires. And I can assure you that 90% of those people in the queue are prank callers.
Wow.
I mean, you can see someone can call us 50 times a day and be saying all sorts of nonsense, like all things that don't make sense. And also, you record this prank calls, especially when the kids are on vacation, because they've been taught the 112, 192. So they are curious, they like to try it out. So that's when we receive a lot of prank calls. So it's not as though they call us and we decide not to pick. Sometimes they call and then they are in a queue. So we also have our what do you call it? A 030 number. Our hotline 030-277-2446. That one, when you call, you'll be charged. So we don't have a lot of people on that number. So I would advise the general public that when they call the 112, 192 and they are not able to reach us, so try the 030-277-2446. Before we started the interview, I needed an information from where they received the calls. I called and then they picked within 2 seconds or 1 second. See, but when you call the 112, it's very difficult for you to reach them.
Because it is toll free.
And even the 112 is for all emergency institutions. So when you call and based on what you need, the assistance you need, they will direct the call. So the 192 come directly to the Ghana National Fire Service. And that one is also, I mean, we have the prank callers on it. And so that has to do with the call.
With the prank callers, is there any way they could be, penalized?
So right now, there's a law. I mean, they can be penalized, but the issue here is how to identify them, which is the problem, which we are working to. We are looking to work with the NCA and other telecommunications to see how we can identify these people when they call.
Yes, because if there is that, a penalty or that sort of punishment there for those who prank the calls, I think it will serve as a deterrent. Because as you said, you have about 15 calls in the queue when the most important one or the real ones is hanging somewhere and someone is just there, wasting
with
the time.
With the line.
Okay.
So that has to do with the cost. Now with the water aspect, that's my favorite part because, I think I just pray that this will be the last time we are explaining this because, I mean, as human beings, whatever you do, you plan.
Yes.
You plan. So for an emergency organization, knowing that fire won't call you that, I'll set fire here at this time. So come at this time. No, you don't have that. Fires, they are an emergency. So you need to prepare adequately for when, as and when it comes. So me personally, I can say on authority, I mean, on behalf of the Ghana National Fire Service, on authority, that there's no way an appliance goes to an emergency scene without water. I've been an operational man before at Legon. So when, we run a 24-hour shift. So when we come, the crew, which is coming on duty in the morning, we take over from the other crew that came yesterday. So we do what we call handing over and taking over. So the crew coming will check that, will make sure that all the equipments are working and there's adequate water in the tank before they take over. If it's not adequate, the officer in charge can decide not to take over. So the outgoing crew make sure that they have enough water supply in the tank.
So before the outgoing ones go, they have to make sure there's water.
There's water. And then before you take over, you have to make sure that there's water. So, I mean, right from the station, we are clear in our minds that there's water in the tender. But the tender you see like that, it has compartments. And there's a part for the water, there's a part for where the crew sits, part for where the driver and other people sit. So just some parts that has the water, which means that the water is not unlimited. The only way you can get unlimited water supply is from the hydrants.
Okay.
That one, when you put the hose in, you can be there 24 hours. If this Ghana Water Company is producing water through that particular hydrant, you get water 24/7. That's the only way. But the one in the tank, I mean, within 5 minutes, it would get finished.
Okay.
So I don't know. I would want us to make a little calculation here.
Oh, okay.
So the biggest tank takes 13,500 liters of water. And then the hose we use, let's say averagely it produces 600 liters of water per minute. So let's assume that we'll get to an incident scene, and then we have about it's a big fire, and then we need to use about 4 hoses to make sure that we confine the fire and prevent it from further spread. So if we have 600, one hose taking 600, producing 600 liters of water per minute. So 600 by 4 is 2,400 liters. That's a minute.
Yeah.
So that one, by let's say 5 minutes, is 12,000 liters.
Okay.
So you realize that within 5 minutes, the 13,500 liters of water is exhausted.
Okay.
It's exhausted. So if somebody who probably came to the scene 6 minutes or 7 minutes after, will be like, oh, but they were not here from the start. So that's when the conversation of hydrants come in. So we need to have hydrants like every 200 meters. We need hydrants at vantage point so that when we get to the scene and we realize there's a big fire, we don't even need to call other stations to come, because that's what we do. Because the hydrants are not available, we call multiple pumps, 5, 6. But I mean, ideally, you don't need them. If you have a working hydrant, you don't need them. You just need, like, if the pressure is not even good, you can just connect it through your pump and it goes out. Then we use our pump to give it pressure. But we call 5, 6 pumps and then they come. So that's when they come, then they discharge the water into the first appliance, which is the base pump that came, and then they'll go. So people will be like, he said, but all they came to do is just augment water supply and go back. So they have to travel long distance to get a hydrant to replenish and come back. So that is the issue. It's not like we come without water. You always come prepared. I mean, I don't know why people say. I find it very difficult because even in our places, before you go to bed, you make sure that you prepare and then go. So and water is our medium of extinction because it's readily available and cheap. We don't pay for the water. But then again, if the water is the same water that flows through our taps in the house. So if ECG, Ghana Water Company, because of the water pollution and other things, they are not able to produce water to everyone at the same time. So they keep rationing the water supply. So if, let's say, Adenta and Medina, they have water issues. So there are times that even after fighting the fire, you have to roam the whole of Medina Adenta because some of the hydrants are not working because Ghana Water Company is producing water. So if you don't have water in your house, the same way there's no hydrant, there's no water in the hydrants. So that's the issue with that. That is it. People need to understand that there's no way we come to the incidency without water. But the way our work requires pressure. So when we are fighting fire, within 5 minutes to 7 minutes, the water will be exhausted.
It's finished. I really appreciate your insight to this. And I'm sure my viewers and listeners are actually, learning a whole lot from this. That you don't just go there without, because it will not even, or speak well, speak well. But the main problem has to do with the source of water, because definitely, as you said, within 5 minutes, the water in the tank is already finished. So you need to replenish it, and you can only do that using the hydrants. And unfortunately, some or most of these hydrants are not working.
Or they are covered by people. Their stores, and they built on them.
Recently, I watched a scenario where someone had built his store on top of a hydrant. And I was like, wow, how is this possible? So it means if the hydrants are, readily available, it will be much easier for the firefighters to fight any fire. I'm sure. As I said,
sometimes even when we get to the scene, we might even decide to just connect directly to the hydrant and not even use our water. If there's hydrants available, just connect directly and then start fighting the fire.
So it means Ghana Water Company has to work on those hydrants.
It's a collaboration, Ghana Water Company, the government. It requires a lot of investment and town planning. So it's something that we need to take a critical look at it, but because it goes a long way to protect the Ghanaian citizens.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for that insight. Now, talk of fighting the fires. Fire from electricity and fire from maybe gas, fire from petrol or kerosene. Are there different methods of fighting them?
Yes, so you have types of fires. You have a class A fire, which is fire involving solid materials. So like what I'm having is a class, when there's fire here, it's a class A fire. And you have B, flammable, what do you call it? Liquids. That is the oil and other stuff. And then you have the gas, flammable gas, which is the LPG, methane, those kind of tin things. And then you have the D, which is the electrical distance. So for class A fire, water can easily extinguish a class A fire, which is the solid material.
Okay.
For class B, which is the flammable liquids, that one you don't need water because water even spreads it. So I mean, maybe you can experiment it. Maybe in an open space, you have your maybe a coal pot or something, and then they put oil on fire and then sprinkle water on it. You see the way to behave. Yes, because water is not the best extinguishing medium for a class B fire. And then there's class C, which is the gas also, which water is not the best extinguishing medium for that. So for that one, you need, for you personally, you need a fire extinguisher. So you have types of fire extinguisher. We have the carbon dioxide fire extinguisher, we have the dry chemical powder, we have the water extinguisher, we have the helium extinguisher. But in Ghana, we use the dry chemical powder and the CO2, carbon dioxide extinguisher. So these two extinguishers are best for class A, B, C fires. So if it's fire involving, maybe you are cooking a stove top fire, you just use we mostly advise the CO2, because after using the CO2, it's not harmful, it's not poisonous. After using it, you can go back to cooking and even eat your food. But for the dry chemical powder, it's poisonous. So after using it, you need to do a thorough clean. You have to clean the whole place because it's poisonous. So mostly keep that in the hall and our bedrooms and other stuff. So you need that one to extinguish fires in the kitchen or fires involving liquids or gas. So what it does is that it covers the surface, the burning surface.
Okay.
Remember I said there are three things that have to come together for fire to start: oxygen, fuel, and then heat. So in extinguishing fire, all you have to do is just take one method out, take one element out. So for stovetop fire and then fires involving gas, you just need the extinguisher, and then immediately you engage the extinguisher. It covers the burning surface and prevents further oxygen from mixing with the burning surface, thereby taking out oxygen from the equation. Yeah, and then the fire is out.
Okay.
And then for us, where we fight large fires, what we use. So when we come to come to the scene and realize, oh, this fire, there are flammable liquids in there. We use what we call we use the foam. Okay. The foam. So the foam, it comes out as bubbles.
So it means that the water in the tanks, they are of various forms, depending on the situation at hand.
So it's just the water in the tank. And then some appliances, we have the foam chamber. Okay. Some we don't have. You have to generate it like manually with a gallon. So it depends on the type of appliance. So when we get to the scene and realize that, oh, okay, so it's maybe, let's say it's a fuel station, it's the petrol burning, then we apply the foam together with the water. So it comes out as bubbles and then stays on top of the burning surface. Okay. So when it stays on top of the burning surface, oxygen doesn't enter, and then the water itself serves as cools the environment, thereby also taking out heat from it. That's why the incident that happened in Circle 10 years ago, I think this year was the 10th anniversary. Is it 3rd June? 3rd June. 3rd June. Remember it was raining, but still the fire was burning because the water had mixed up with the fuel. So you needed to apply the foam. You need to use foam together with the water to extinguish it. So it's not all fires that you need to use water to extinguish. Sometimes you need to use foam. That is for the Ghana National Fire Service. And even in the house, if you don't have if you don't have a fire extinguisher in your kitchen, all you can do is just you have the fire blanket. If you can't afford the fire blanket, get a wet sack and just put it over the burning surface, and then the fire is out. And then for electrical fires, like maybe the socket is burning, you have your extinguisher, the dry chemical powder extinguisher. You quickly look for the main source and then put out the main source. And then when you put out the main source, it moves from being fire involving electricity to a class A fire, because there's no longer power running through the socket. So it becomes a normal object.
But is it not that dangerous to, tamper with the switch if it is caused by electricity?
The main source.
Yeah.
Oh, so what you can do, if you have the courage to do it, make sure that the place is not wet. You yourself, you are not wet. Like your body is not wet, so that in case you touch it, it doesn't. What do you call it?
You don't get electrocuted.
So make sure the whole place is where the main switchboard is dried up, and then you just put it off.
Okay.
So the whole place will go off.
Okay, but if you don't have the courage, you just advise yourself. And
I remember before I joined the service, I was in the house one day and I was cooking. I was using the rice cooker to cook. So I was in my room. I realized that I could see flames. So I came out and I realized the cable was on fire. And I just panicked and I didn't know what to do. But thankfully, fortunately for me, it went out by itself. And I just put it up on the socket. Later, my mom came and was like, "Oh no, next time just switch off the main board, everything, and just use the water or maybe the extinguisher." So you just put out the main switch. The moment you do that, current is no longer flowing through your items. So it becomes a normal object.
Okay. Then I think some of these, safety measures, easy safety measures must be, adopted at home. Mm-hmm. Can you give us some of these safety measures that people can adopt to, to quench or, prevent these kind of, fires?
So like, not overloading our sockets. The sockets or the extension board, they come with a specified amount of current they can take, which is measured in amperes. When you go beyond that, then there's an issue, there's a problem. You'll be causing excessive heat.
Most Ghanaians don't know this.
They don't even check the number of amperes. We just buy and overload it. That's one. And then unplugging your socket, like I said, and making sure that you attend to your cooking. You don't leave things like that. Yeah, so these are some of the things you can adopt. And also make sure that you have clear exit points and escape routes in your house, your workplace, your market, etc. Like, make sure that there's clear exit points, and it should be accessible to everyone. It shouldn't be under heavy padlocks. And these exit points have to be known by the occupants of the building, have to be known by them. And then you periodically do simulation exercise to know how to use the escape route and the exit point when there's a major incident, especially in our homes. When you have kids, periodically do that so that they will know what to do. No, kids, they panic a lot. When they see fire, they panic. Some even go and hide in their wardrobe. And if the kid is in the house alone, will go and hide and then be consumed by the fire. So when you teach the kids how to use the exit point when they see fire, they will do it easily. And with using the exit routes or the escape points, you shouldn't run. Okay. You might trip, fall, or even cause a stampede, especially in markets or maybe companies, organizations. Yes, you should just walk briskly. Walking briskly means that you are walking with a purpose. You are all moving. You know where you are going. So you are not under pressure. You are not panicking. You are all moving. And then in a situation whereby there's so much smoke in the place, like the place is smoky, you can't see anything. What you can do is that you lay low and then you crawl.
You crawl, okay. That's you lie on the floor.
Lie on the floor.
And crawl like a soldier would do, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because when there's smoke in an area, it's likely, or it's the floor beneath or the floor, it's always clear. There's fresh air there, it's always clear. So you can see when you're lying down. You're lying down and there's fresh air there. But if you are standing, you might, inhale the toxic gases and probably collapse. So you just
Lie
low
down
and
and
then
then
crawl. You can
crawl.
see
Okay.
there's much of visibility down there, and there's fresh air for you to
Wow. How is that possible?
because the smoke is always rising.
Rising. Okay.
So
Okay.
it's always rising. So the floor is, I mean, there's a bit of visibility there and fresh air there because it's always rising.
Wow. Wow, that's an insightful one. And I'm sure my viewers and listeners are actually taking a cue from this. This is Chalé GH on IBG Studios. Today, I've had the opportunity to be in the midst of AOD1, ADO, ADO1, Derrick Adzokpa. Yes, in fact, he is from the headquarters, that's national headquarters, and has come to enlighten us on, fire. As we know, fire is a good servant, but a bad master. And it all depends on how we handle it. And I'm sure we are learning a whole lot from this discussion. Don't forget that you get it nowhere, but only on Chalé GH and IBG Studios. Officer, before we go, I want you to give some last words to our viewers and listeners, because in recent times, as I said, issues of fire outbreak has become, very topical, not only in the, homes, but in the marketplaces and other places. And as I said, even recently, I watched 2 motorbikes colliding, and, there was a fire, and the 2 people or the 3 people on the motorbikes got bent. In such a situation, how even do you handle such a situation? So any last words for my viewers?
So what I would want to tell the general public is that they should take our educational campaigns really serious, because as an institution, we take pride in educating more than managing the fires. We focus more on educating the people. I mean, we focus more on preventing the fire instead of managing them. So we have a vibrant safety department who, I mean, they go out to educate the general public on ways to prevent undesired and manage undesired fires. So they should take the awareness campaign really serious and make sure that they practice what we preach. And it's a shared responsibility. We can only do our part by educating you, like I'm doing here, by going around making sure that we inspect buildings and make sure that we identify the fire hazards and what have you. So, and we have a vibrant safety department who go around to check and inspect and make sure that buildings, markets, schools, I mean, any building that houses individuals meet fire safety standards. We make sure that we do that. We make sure that they meet fire safety standards per the LI 2249, which is an amendment to the LI 1724, the fire precaution regulation. So we have the men going around. So for other people, for other institutions who don't have their fire certificates and they are not complying with the fire safety measures, just know that one day a fire inspector will be at your place and make sure that you get it. Close down your business or your building temporarily or permanently before you apply for a fire certificate, to make sure the fire certificate, it has details of the fire safety requirements that you've put in place. So if you don't have it, it means that you are just operating illegally, because safety right now, safety is not even a suggestion. It's legally backed by the law, which is the LI 2249 that I mentioned. It's backed by the law. So I mean, we are really we are making sure that we are enforcing it for markets and other people to be compliant. And also payment of fines. We're also making sure that, I mean, we are enforcing it so that it would be, people would take safety really serious. So they should take the education really serious and also make sure that they protect their properties and their employees or whoever is occupying their buildings by, I mean, applying for the fire certificate for the fire inspectors to come do the assessment and make recommendations, whether the number of extinguishers they need, the number of fire balls, fire detection alarms, escape routes and everything. It's just for your own safety. So we need to really look at that one as well. So this is what I'll tell the general public, and also not to prank the Ghana National Fire Service, because if you prank us, whilst you are pranking us, you are preventing somebody who has genuine concern, wants to get to the Ghana National Fire Service. You are preventing that person from calling us. So please don't prank the Ghana National Fire Service. Only use 112, 192 or 030-2772-446 only when you have an emergency. It's just for emergency, nothing else. So this is what I'll tell Ghanaians.
All right. ADO1, Derrick Elorm Adzokpa. Thank you very much for coming to IBG Studios.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Dear listeners and viewers, it has been a wonderful edition of Chalé GH on IBG Studios. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel on all social media handles as Chalé GH on IBG Studios. Like, comment, and share. Until we meet again, it is your boy, Patinko Star Boy. Bye-bye for now.